All right, this is Brandon Edward Bonkowski, case number 2413539. And Mr. Bonkowski is here for sentencing. Prosecution and defense was the pre-sentence investigation report time made available to you?
It was, Your Honor.
Yes, Judge, it was.
And Mr. Wilburn, did you have a victim that wished to speak in this case?
I was going to ask her, I don't know if people have been coming in. I have my staff are supposed to notify me if someone checks in. No one's checked in, but I don't know who people are. Stephanie Grandy was the listed victim on this, Your Honor. I've never spoken to her. I know our office has. I don't know if she's in the court or not.
Is Ms. Grandy here? Stephanie Grandy? Do you want to talk to the court at all about this case and what in a proposed sentence?
I thought I did earlier before his one hearing. I had talked to the prosecution attorney.
Sorry,
said she was going to drop all the charges except for one, and then he was supposed to have we agreed on a 10 to 16 month. He said that he would be sentenced between 10 and 16 months, and I was okay with that. I told her it was.
Okay, but there's nothing that you want to say on the record here today?
Just that he was drunk and
Oh, hang on. If you want to talk, you got to come up here then.
okay, I'm sorry.
Come on up. All right, state your name for the record, please.
Stephanie Marie Grandy.
Okay, Ms. Grandy, now is the opportunity to tell me anything that you want me to know about you or Mr. Bonkowski before I pronounce a sentence.
He's a good person. He's an alcoholic. He has a problem with his drinking. And when he's drunk, he's a totally different person. I know he's tried to stop drinking multiple times and it's been a challenge for him. He needs that extra help figuring out how to stop drinking. I know he didn't mean to do what he did. We were both fighting that night. I put my hands on him as well. It's just kind of when the police showed up, I had more injuries than he did as far as like bruises and whatnot. And I know he wouldn't hurt me, thank you, under regular circumstances. He just needs some help. He doesn't necessarily deserve to be locked up forever. He just needs to stop drinking, stop the drug use, and you know, like I said, when he's sober, he's a totally different person. He's loving, he's caring, he takes care of his family. He lost his job and then he spiraled downward, and it was like 2 months of hell, and then that's where we resulted in here.
The report says that that he had a gun and was threatening to kill you or kill Julie. Is that right?
He had my gun and he was clicking it and he kept making threats when he was drinking. He never pulled it out. My mom said she heard it clicking, like the cocking back and forth. But like the prosecutor had said, why didn't she call the police when she felt threatened too, and she didn't have anything to say. So like, he knew that if he could intimidate us, you know, but I never felt threatened by him until obviously the moment it was happening. But like, he talks a big game and doesn't, you know, I don't.
Well, the report says that he grabbed you by the neck, choked you to the point that you couldn't even breathe or yell for help.
That is correct.
Okay, that sounds pretty bad.
He was pretty drunk, so it's hard for me to decipher because, like I said, when he's sober, he's a totally different person. And he was extremely drunk when I got home from work.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Price, I give you the opportunity to read the report and discuss it with Mr. Bonkowski.
I have, Judge.
Do you have any additions, corrections, or challenges?
Judge, yeah, there's a question, prosecutor and I both looked at it. Of course, the sentence is in the court's discretion, but on page 2, the recommendation, and that's on page 2 of the actual second page. It says 16 months. And then if we go into the pre-sentence investigation, page 2, it says 24 months. So I mean, both of those are still within the guidelines, but there was 2 separate recommendations, and or 16 months it was actually. So obviously, we'd like to see the court follow the lowest recommendation, but 16 months. It's an unfortunate case. It's his first felony. Really was out of it at the time. Suicidal. Assaulted, intoxicated. You can throw a lot of mix in there, and they all resulted in something that was bad and could have been worse. I know he's remorseful. I know he's learned his lesson. Unfortunately, he's got to face the punishment in court. So we asked the court to, take the statement that was made in consideration, and also the fact that it's his first felony. He's got all misdemeanors on his record, Judge. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Bonkowski, you had the opportunity to read the report and discuss it with Mr. Prysock, is that right? Do you have any additions, corrections, or challenges?
No, Your Honor.
Anything that you want the court to consider? Anything to say for yourself?
I wrote down.
Yeah, sure.
Your Honor, I would like to start off by saying how ashamed of myself I am to stand before you today. I hold myself accountable for my actions and hold myself responsible for my addiction to drugs and alcohol. Since my incarceration, I've identified that my actions have serious consequences that I will regret for the rest of my life. Your Honor, I would be lying if I told you I've changed. With that said, I'm asking for help. I have learned when someone needs help, they need to ask for it. Changing my abuse of substances and alcohol at the age of 25, I can see I still have potential for a brighter future. Last thing I would like to add, Your Honor, is to ask the Grandy family for forgiveness and anyone else I may have hurt. Thank you for your time.
Why do you think you drink so much, sir?
I didn't like life, Your Honor.
Why not?
I feel like I was dealt a bad hand growing up. I didn't know how to deal with myself.
All right, anything else, sir? All right, and Mr. Walburn, any additions, corrections, or challenges?
Just the one Mr. Prysock noted, Your Honor, and seemed to be a little bit of inconsistency. I assume the 16 months was a typo due to the fact that it was outside the sentencing guidelines, but I did locate that.
Mr. Zerub, just so we can clarify that, were you recommending 16 months below the guidelines or 24 months, which would be consistent with the guidelines?
I apologize, Your Honor. The recommendation should be 24 months to 120 months.
Okay. All right, the court recognizes that the advisory guidelines would suggest a sentence between 19 and 38 months. The courts can exercise my discretion, sentence consistent with the advisory guidelines, consistent with the agreement in this case. The court's going to sentence the defendant to 19 months on the minimum to a maximum of 10 years with the Michigan Department of Corrections. I'll give him credit for the 119 days that he served so far. There's a $68 state cost assessment to $130 crime victims' rights fund fee. The court will direct those financial assessments to be collected through the inmate account and parole process. Mr. Bonkowski, this is the bottom of the advisory guidelines. I see no reason to go outside of the advisory guidelines in this case. And I understand where you're coming from. It looks like you did have a rough childhood, but you know, last time in 2024, you had reckless use of a firearm, possession of a firearm while under the influence, and here we are. It looks like it was just 6 months later that you're drunk and allegations that you had a firearm again, choked this gal out. Those are things that I can't overlook, but so the guidelines call for a prison sentence, so that's what you're getting. So you do have the right to make application for you to appeal the conviction sentence. If you cannot afford an attorney, the court appointed attorney represents you on the appeal. The request for lawyer must be filed with the court within 42 days.
At the meetings.